And we're live.
Hola, Madridistas. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. I could actually hear the intro, Sahil. So I'm just going to ask the chat, if there's anything wrong with the audio. Sahil, just
Sure.
do a quick mic check. Just let us know if you can hear both of us,
Yeah,
clear
guys.
and well.
Big win. Donut. Let's just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're there, Ashik or anybody else in the chat. If you're willing to just give me a mic check.
I think you should be good. Looking, just going off by the looks of it. I think you should be good. You should be good. Yeah, boys. Pick up everyone in the chat. Pick up people who are going to be tuning in later as well. Pick up our sponsors. LB at 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Also, pick up Fanatics. Go check them out. Partners of La Liga and Madrid. The link is in the description below. Also, go show some love to Talksport as well. We are officially part of the Talksport Fan Network, the biggest sports radio station online. Not just online in the world, online as well. I mean, they have an online radio as well, probably best in the business. But yeah, go show them some love. I haven't heard anything from the chat yet that audio is kind of moving mad. So I'm hoping that everything is okay, guys. If there's
Yeah,
any
guys.
audio issues,
Ashik, any of you, if you can just put in
if
one
there's,
comment, that would be great.
I think it's okay. Or are we live? We are live, right? We are
Yeah,
live, right?
we're live, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Um. Yeah. Let's like probably get to a few of the comments before we even kick off. Ashik was big up. Ashik was mentioning. Ouch. Yeah. That pretty much sums up what City might have felt. Big up FP. He was mentioning robbery FC. Stay humble. Ashi was also mentioning they forgot to take the Ballon d'Or out of. Yeah, I'm not going to read that out. But he also says he also says always knew Carlo will do the right thing when time comes. Yeah. I lost faith in my favorite manager. Blasphemy, but still pissed at him about the Classico. Well, there you go. I was the lone man standing for large parts, not just on the pod, but also in our group chat as well. Um, but yeah, man, I hope there's again no audio issues. Going off by the comments, I think it's perfectly fine. Right. Let's get into business, Sahil. Tell me first of all, what's the reaction like? That kind of a performance against not City at their optimal, primal, terrifying best,
Yeah.
but we had a job. We took on the job and we delivered with flowers, man. It was Madrid at its pomp. This is how we blow teams away, especially at home.
Yeah, and it was nothing less than a statement performance at home in the
Hmm.
Champions League. That's where we come alive. We've been known to come alive there. Our seasons have
Yeah,
gone dreaded for months, and then we've just suddenly brought life out of nothing, in the past. So the Bernabeu crowd always looks forward to a second leg, at
yeah.
home. And going into the second leg with an advantage to our name is not a feeling that we are acclimatized to.
Hmm.
But that was the case this season because of a largely poor Man City team in the first leg, and we also got away with some in the first leg and eventually stole the win there. Um, but the second leg turned out to be a brutal thrashing, man. Like, you've got to feel sorry for City and the place they're in right now because they could not have faced, for them, a worse and
Yeah.
more clinical Madrid side
Mm.
at this point in this season, because
Yeah.
City, like we mentioned before, this is not City at their best, right? This is far from what City used to be and what City are renowned to be.
My
Even
question,
quite
my
honestly.
question then will be Sahil,
Yeah.
right? If City are not at their best, does it take anything away from our performance?
No, it does not. It's still a statement performance and a statement win. but let's not
Mhm.
blow it out of proportion, because let's not
I'm
forget.
not.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the fans will be guilty of doing that, come the next few days.
It's normal. It's human to do so.
Yeah, and naturally. But let's not forget that we were only playing the playoffs because we were outside the top eight in the Champions League,
Yeah,
right? And it's never nice being in that position again, having to play an extra game or two. But hopefully that's the lesson learned. We had to play an extra couple games to go into the round of 16, and then from next year on we don't finish there. But yeah, speaking of City, it just pretty much felt like a mirror image of the the two legs that were played two seasons ago, where
mm,
right we escaped with a win away, and then we hoped to take it from the Bernabeu, but they were just too strong that season, and we were far from our best. Our defense collapsed when we came up against that City side. So this season again, Real Madrid not the most consistent season. We
yeah,
have known to you know crumble in big games this season, and the injury crisis has caught up to our defense. The tactics haven't always been there, but tonight was just a night where everything seemed to click. So I think pretty much that
100%.
turned it in our favor.
I'll be very honest, right? From kickoff, City just looked deflated, out of ideas, out of inspiration, out of any sort of any sort of drive to actually take the game to us. I mean, they had a couple of forays into our, you know, D, and they kind of tried to make a few things happen. But as soon as that killer blow was dealt by Mbappe, who we'll be talking extensively about tonight, City just looked like they didn't have any ideas. I mean, it also is about the psyche, right? When your main man goes down, probably the day before the game, or I'm not sure how the fitness levels and him not starting actually came about. I'm not sure if it was about yesterday's final training session, or it was something that happened just mere hours before kickoff. But it surely would have dealt a blow. So in a way, I kind of feel a bit bad for them, because Haaland is their primary threat. There is no debating that fact, and with him, I would think that City will have put up a better fight. But even with Haaland, man, the way we performed tonight, I struggle to see how City gets out alive, because our dominance was clear to see in midfield. That's what we discussed in the first preview that we had before the first leg with Steve. I was adamant that our midfield and their current midfield situation is going to completely play into our hands. The way we have the power and precision with the likes of Jude Bellingham, if Fede played in midfield, him, Tchouameni stepping into midfield as well, it's only gonna basically toy with whatever City fielded in midfield. I mean, Nico Gonzalez, he was bought in Jan to exactly kind of play a tie like this, a fixture like this, a mission like this. But I was hoping Nico Gonzalez would bring about a bit of calm. But yeah, man, when you're at the Bernabeu trailing by a goal, and then your defense has a start to the game like what City's defense had. I mean, Sahil, walk us through that first goal. Raul Asensio will get to him, right? Mbappe, man. I mean, when you're Ruben Diaz, right? You see Mbappe running at you. Your first thought is basically, like I have to judge the flight of the ball first. I have to kind of make sure that at the least, I'm not going to beat him for a foot race. No chance in hell, right? The best I can do is basically make myself an obstruction, and kind of try and put him off his stride. But Ruben Diaz, with all those permutations in his mind, juggling at lightning speed, he just couldn't cope with it. He just absolutely crumbled under the pressure. And he is, Sahil, like among City fans, among the Premier League fans, one of the best centre backs, one of the most technically gifted centre backs of the modern era, and we have done that to him twice. We did that to him with Benzema. He was the culpable guy for our deciding pen in extra time 3 years ago, and now again he's at the center of how City unraveled. Do you credit that with the pressure that City's under, or you just credit that with Mbappe and his sheer brilliance?
Well, Mbappe's brilliance, his pace, and you know his presence of mind to be there and to make that run, as well as Raul
Yeah.
Asensio is one part of the deal.
Mm,
The other side of it, like you mentioned, is Ruben Dias just not being able to cope, and he simply crumbles in that moment.
mm,
It says a lot about the state that City's defense is in, because I mean, no better example than that, because the physical state of their defensive players is not what it used to be.
mm,
Even Kyle Walker, a couple years ago, he was arguably one of the top 3 or 4 right backs in the world, and now he's not
yeah.
even at the club anymore. So you have multiple examples like that. I thought it was a sharp run by Mbappe. I thought Asensio himself was very, eagle-eyed to have played that ball. Again, in the grand scheme of things, it might just feel like a standard ball that might have, that we would have expected to be headed out by Ruben Dias.
Hmm.
But big ups to Asensio for having tried that. And that's the one thing about Asensio, he always goes for it, man. Like,
Yeah.
he has that dog in him. We know that. But he always takes that extra risk. And it is why so many Madridistas are forced to, compare this guy to Sergio Ramos. Maybe he's not that level of player yet. But yeah, he's definitely from that school of defending. We'll talk about Asensio and his defensive prowess more later in
Hmm.
the post match. But Mbappe, man, you have to stand up and applaud, because he has just brought over the fans on his side.
The golden touch, though, the moment he makes contact, I was like, yeah, that's game over for Ederson, for his positioning, for his 24-25. That just, yeah, epitomizes what Mbappe can be at his very, very best, because you get the placement wrong. You absolutely look like a clown, because Ederson is way out of his position. You know, a lethal striker should be putting that away. One, if he misses, we would be saying, yeah, that's a difficult chance. But given the quality that we have been accustomed to, at the Bernabeu, with the likes of Cristiano, and Benzema, of course, you would expect Mbappe to put it away. But with the ease, and him just without breaking a sweat putting that away, man, I was already thinking about the second leg. That's the sort of mentality that this man brought to the game tonight. I mean, who could cope? I don't think even the best defensive performances could have coped with that. I mean, obviously, a low block, an extremely low block that is purely looking to, hold out a lead or survive, would have, kept all these guys at bay. I mean, we have seen that happen countless times. We have seen that happen to the best of them, not just Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo. We have seen them. We have seen it happen to, probably the greatest footballers, ever. So I wouldn't say that Mbappe would have, been this electric against, someone who was determined enough to, keep him at bay. But City had to play the game. City had to basically, yeah, go press the ball, play at a with an with an urgency that kind of the occasion called for, because they were trailing at kickoff, so they had to be proactive, and yeah, they got it all wrong. From there on in, it was smooth sailing. Like, have you ever sat through a knockout tie like this before? Like, it was a bit too dreamy like for me, because I've in the last 3-4 years against top tier sides, we have never had this kind of a cushion style. It's unfamiliar territory, at least for me.
No, truly. And again, going back to Mbappe, he just makes
Mm,
the game look easy when he's playing at his best. And when you speak about City, it feels like more than anything that they don't have the legs to deal with big oppositions now, because you see them not just against us, you see them struggle against the likes of Brentford in the Premier League. I mean, with all respect to Brentford and Brighton, the great teams, but City are not meant to struggle against those teams, right?
Yeah.
And even going through their lineup, actually, we know, like you mentioned, there was no Holland, and that must have been a big blow. There was talk around his injury a day before the game, but
Hmm.
there was skeptics among Madrid's media because Pep has
Yeah.
been known to pull this kind of thing off, right?
Uh-huh.
And again, when the lineups came out, there was no De Bruyne either. So again, there might have been tactics, there might have been a physical problem, but we didn't see anything from De Bruyne all night. So again,
Yeah.
don't really know. Bernardo in midfield, Nico and Gundogan, and the new January signing Husanov at right back, who didn't really fare that well against Vinny. Uh, Stones being pushed back into defense to tighten up things a little bit, but again, that
And
didn't really
him
work.
going down injured as well inside the first 20
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, and that didn't really, pay off more than anything. And I think they relied too much on their wingers, Savinho and Foden, for creativity, because there
Hmm.
was no creative output, especially in that first half. There was hardly any inspiration in the middle of the park. Savinho and
Yeah.
Foden, you've got to ask questions of these wingers because they've hardly attempted to even, penetrate the Real Madrid defense. Mendy,
Hmm.
I don't remember a single 1v1 situation Mendy was put in all game. Uh, Marmoush was in good form coming into the game, and we thought he could have been a real threat. But again, we didn't really
Yeah.
see the kind of number nine play that people
He,
were
he he's not a number nine. I mean, you
no,
can't expect that from Mamush. Mm.
he's playing in the place of of
Yeah.
number nine.
What I thought, and many thought that Mamush should do is basically, yeah, come deep and turn on turn
Play
on
on the
on
turn,
the
yeah,
dribble and
yeah,
and basically help City progress the ball up. But I'm telling you, the reason why they couldn't do it, yes, our press was on point. I'm telling you, it's a midfield. Ceballos, Chouameni, Chouameni, man. Again, we'll talk about him.
right,
Was immense. Our midfield was on point. I mean, I still remember, even at 2-0, our players were, giving City their due diligence. They were giving them enough respect to actually track back, um, follow people into, into the area. And, they were really, really not, ready to leave any stones unturned. I mean, this was the performance I expected. We can talk about City and how disjointed they were for us, and people have actually given out the verdict that this is a transition season. Steve said that even pre-game with Sid as well. Obviously, they as a fan, they would back their team to get a result, but we knew it. If we played our game and City tried to play theirs, we would absolutely walk all over them, and that just happened. But we have to really talk about Mbappe. The second goal, Sahil. Jude Bellingham, I think, playing it off to Winnie to Rodrigo and to Mbappe to basically just send Guardiola ice skating, right? In Chile, Madrid. I mean, it is a sight to behold. And Guardiola has been a thorn. Whenever we have played him, he has had pretty good performances, scoring against us even, last year. So to basically sit him down, I mean, I was off my seat, man. That is the kind of trickery, the bewitching nature of Mbappe uh, at his optimal confidence is just, yeah, man. I don't think Haaland, I don't think anyone can really compete with that. Even Vinicius is looking like a tier below. I'll be very honest. I never thought that I would be saying that about Mbappe, this season, probably, maybe next season and whatnot. Yeah, I would have had thought, yeah, like he would need at least a season to kind of click into gear. But I've been telling the Mandam, I've been telling my friends, I've been mentioning it in the group chat as well. Ever since the Atlanta game, I think the Champions League lights basically lit something in him, Sahil. Um, how do you really put that into words? Because you see Mbappe taking a touch, you see him taking 2-3 touches to kill people left, right, and center, it's just unplayable.
Yeah, it needs to be studied what he did to Guardiola over there, because Guardiola is a defender who hasn't been turned that way
Yeah,
since Messi at the last World Cup, right? This guy's been
yeah, yeah, yeah.
struggling for City at left back, at centre back, and then he's completely destroyed him over there.
Mhm.
And let's just talk about that goal, man, because that goal from back to front has involved Valverde, Rodrigo, Bellingham,
Yeah, yeah.
Vinicius, and Mbappe, right? So five of
Mhm.
our most stellar stalwarts being a part of that goal.
Yeah.
And that was the one goal that you could really say that, okay, it was a proper team goal from back to front. And
Mhm.
the move was such that it epitomized what Real Madrid at their most free flowing best is all about this season.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were simply too much to handle at that point for Man City. But like you said, we did the we still were humble enough to do the due diligence, especially the likes of Vinny and Mbappe, you know, going around pressing, still making sure that the City centre backs and their midfielders weren't entirely comfortable in the ball. So that was
Most was mentioning can't hear Sahil very well.
all
Apparently,
right.
maybe just raise your
All right, just give me a moment, yeah.
volume a bit. But yeah, like what Sahil was mentioning, it just goes to show, when we are basically, playing as a team, utilizing the complete arsenal, it just looks like teams can't cope. You see, Sahil, the amount of runs even Fede makes down the right, it just is a tall order for even the best of teams to handle, and not just a city in transition. The
Right.
amount of times Fede made himself available, it's yeah, it's peak. Yeah, Mus was mentioning, yeah, bring the mic closer. I mean, he is basically sitting on top of the mic, but let us know if it's
Let's see
better.
if it's any better now, but because it should be. I've turned the fan off. I think that is the only like sort of disturbance, but we thought that wouldn't be a problem. Anyways, like I was saying, Sunil,
Yeah, yeah.
the balance in this team was completely personified by that second goal. And
Mm,
then our team still went back and for
yeah.
finished that half out, closed that game out, closed that half out at 2-0, because City were always going to come back and put the pressure on, even for a little bit. So I think,
Mm,
and then by the 55th or 56th minute, we
yeah,
were we were absolutely running through them again. So I think that little 20 minutes of play where it was
yeah.
we were on the top, and then we suffered for a very little bit in between, 4 or 5 minutes before the first half ended, and then we were
Mm,
back on top. That I think
yeah.
was the perfect illustration of what even Sid Lowe was mentioning before the game.
Mm,
The kind of
mm,
humility we show on one side, and then the kind of arrogance we have to run through teams and to know that we are the best in this competition.
100%.
So we played
100%.
with extreme flamboyance in that phase of the game when we came out of the second half again with our energy levels all topped up. I think Jude got that yellow card as well. Rodrigo was at the center of everything. And I mean, we've got to mention Rodrigo, right? Because sure, he didn't score anything, right?
Yeah.
But there was a good 20 minutes of the game where he was running everything. He was the link through
Uh,
everything.
that's that's Rodrigo this year, right?
Exactly.
Every time he takes control of the ball, it's almost like I have a minimum guarantee that
Yeah.
there's going to be a pretty good chance at the end of that move, because he's just a man who is so no nonsense. He's just absolutely no nonsense. I rarely see Rodrigo do something that's not what the game is calling for. It just is. Uh, yeah, there's some static. I think it's okay now, but
All right. Yeah.
yeah, go on, Sal. Rodrigo, you were mentioning.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Mm,
little we can add on Rodrigo because he
mm.
just seems to do this every game, right? And he doesn't
He had like
always
three
get his
key
flowers.
passes
Yeah, he
tonight.
doesn't always get his flowers for it.
Mm, mhm.
Uh, but he was also involved in a lot of defending out, being out of possession, going back into
Yeah,
deep into our half, helping Valverde out. So that was a big part of it. And when you asked me about Mbappe, what extra defining touch he's got to his game, I think it's the decisiveness. And when you talk
mm,
about the rivalry between him and Haaland. You talk about
Mm,
Mbappe being a big factor in the big games where Haaland seems to disappear. I mean, even if Haaland was playing tonight,
yeah.
which I'm pretty sure Rudiger would have marshaled him like on the previous two or three occasions. So
Rodriguez going home an unhappy man because he couldn't get his annual showdown with Holland.
yeah,
But
so there's multiple things to be discussed there, but I think the centerpiece of what we're all about tonight is Mbappe, and
yeah,
much well deserved hat trick because last month I think he got his first hat trick when he scored that one against Valladolid.
away, yeah.
Yeah, and this one would be second, so many more to come for him.
First at home, which is a
Yeah,
big factor as well against City, in a very important matchup. That basically cried out for someone because the moment Mbappe started the game, I think everyone took a back seat. He was just that good.
right. It's just I think it goes to show more than anything his understanding of that position, that role,
Mhm.
and the number nine spot that's been given to him. Earlier in the season, it was almost as if the Madrid shirt was too heavy for him, and that the pressure was getting to him in certain moments. But I think his game is much more refined now, much more calibrated with what the rest of the team expects of him.
Yeah.
And that's just again, it takes me back to prime Mbappe, the
Mm,
version of him that we saw at PSG. So more of this to come. If
100%.
if we can show this form of Mbappe to either
Yeah.
Atleti or Bayer Leverkusen,
Yeah.
that would be
13 goals in his last 10 games, 28 goals for the season. We are only in mid Feb.
right.
This all of this really looks for pretty good reading. If you were someone who doubted Mbappe's credentials, like I did, early parts of the season, especially after the Clasico and Bilbao and whatnot. This is humble pie that I've always mentioned over the years doing this, on our pod. I've mentioned, I'm super happy to eat humble pies from our players and managers because um, they are basically paid to prove us wrong. And I'm not saying that they have to prove us wrong every week, but yeah, when they actually come through and deliver, yeah, you have to sit there and be like, I completely got that wrong in that particular phase in time. But yeah, I had my reasons why I thought Mbappe in that
Yeah.
particular moment lacked the intensity that our team required. But
No, and fair
there you
enough.
go, man. This is Mbappe, in full swing. For the third goal, Sahil, he was prior to that. I think a couple of minutes prior to that, he was actually limping. I think he was still limping while that goal actually played out.
Yeah.
He actually got a kind of a battering from Ederson on the follow through, trying to finish that move by Fede, which apparently was offside as per the replays showed. But Mbappe at a standstill, the acceleration, the burst of speed that he has. So, like, how do you how do you basically devise a plan for that? Because in the back of your head, okay, you have
Yeah.
seen hours of footage. Oh, this is Mbappe. He is someone who can go from 0 to 100 in a nanosecond. You've seen that play, being played out on various clips on stuff that your video guy among your coaching stuff shows you and drills into your mind. But watching it real time, right? Being asked to be, tasked with the role of basically stemming that from happening. How can you really prevent that? Because Mbappe a couple of minutes ago was limping. We thought he was not really fit. That's the reason why he didn't absolutely, break into a jog and get into a better position. Because if you remember, he was stuck out far wide
Yeah.
and basically hoping that something comes his way. But then the play is slowed down. I think by Rodrigo someone or Jude Bellingham,
By Bellingham. Yes.
and then he sprays it out to Fede, and then Fede
Fede. First time pass, I
plays it
believe.
out to Mbappe.
First
Yeah,
time pass, I believe. Right at the feet of
he
Mbappe.
plays. 100%. And then Mbappe just takes three touches. Boom, it's game over. Ederson knew what was going to happen. Like it was almost like it was telegraphed, but nobody just was ready to actually get the memo, man. It's just ridiculous. This man, when he's in this kind of a mood like he was tonight, you can't really stop it. You can't really stop it. It's just on the weak foot as well. Drill low. I mean, Ederson might not be, Lev Yashin, but yeah, man, I think even Lev Yashin thinks twice about that particular shot because it was so immaculately placed. I don't think you can do much about it.
Yeah,
Um,
Yasin would think twice. So many years of
100%.
playing. Um, but yeah, Mbappe, bro, the ability that this guy's got, he just mesmerizes every time he shows out something like that. And you'd only hope that it happens more often because for him to be put on the edge of the box and then for the City defense to basically doze off for a couple seconds,
Yeah,
right? Nobody's
yeah.
marking him. The closest person to him is Phil Foden.
Mm.
Do you really want
And
Phil
Phil
Foden?
Foden's backing off, backing off, backing off.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
you really want Phil Foden to be, the man marking
yeah.
Mbappe? And Mbappe, fortunately for him, he ends up in that position and he doesn't need much space. He doesn't need much time.
Mm.
One step over, one shimmy to the right, one movement to the left, and the
Yeah,
shot ends up rifling through the bottom corner. But that piece of play, like I said, Fede plays that with the first touch, right? We're looking to slow the game down, but then Fede sees the opportunity, even
yeah.
slightest of openings to play the ball through the Mbappe, then he might create something. Uh, that just again the how in sync these guys are. You call it a front four, but with Valverde, I think it's essentially a front five because he's basically a pseudo right winger when Rodrigo is a bit central. And
Hundred
how
percent.
how in sync these guys' movements are when Valverde moves out to the right. Valverde
Yeah.
Rodrigo is coming through the middle.
Mm.
Bellingham when he moves out to the left, Vinny knows that he needs to get in the box. Or
Yeah.
Vinny makes a dribble
Yeah.
on the left, Jude is in the box. Even Mbappe,
Mm.
like we said, he's starting to understand his position a lot better now. So
Mm.
it's just telepathic almost the connection, and that results
It's
in
it's
these kinds of play.
it's funny, right? We look disjointed
Red,
against bottom placed league sides, and then we take the foot off the pedal. Even a month ago,
right?
I wouldn't say we were this good. I mean, when the occasion calls for it, I think
Even
it's
now,
something. Mm.
we
Mm.
might go and struggle against an Espanyol, a
Yeah,
Mallorca
yeah.
next week. Whoever we're playing, it's not just last month. It's a different
Mm.
mentality. It's a completely different game in La Liga.
Yeah.
Even the pressure of having to dissociate from what happened at the weekend, the refs, everything that's been spoken about, our league and the league
Mm.
going away.
Yeah.
All of that to dissociate and then come to a Champions League game with a clear head and then to play that so perfectly well. It takes something, right?
100%.
And
I think it's an out of the body experience
truly,
for not just the Madridistas, but for our team as well. When they hear the anthem and when the hue is blue, right? For your ambience lights in the stadium, man. I think something different is in the air. Something different is in the margarita being served. I'm not sure. I don't know what they lace
that's the
it with,
word.
but
I don't know what it is.
mm, mm. It just is.
They're
It
so
just
focused. They
yeah.
sense the anthem and what
Man, we are sitting on our couches, right? We
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 can
feel
watch it.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could go like at almost every Champions League kickoff. I'm a different person. I just that's like, and people used to tell me all the time while I was growing up, when the Champions League is on and when my team was playing, I was a different man. They couldn't recognize me, and this team does it to everyone. But yeah, let me get
that's just aura, right? Real Madrid's aura in this league.
yeah.
No other team
People
has.
throw that word around way too much, but yeah, this
I know, but
is
but
Champions League aura.
City
Yeah.
on in what is not anywhere close to their being their best season.
Mm,
We know they're not going to show up. But
yeah.
Madrid, who again, it's not their best season either.
Mm,
But we
mm,
know they might show up just
yeah.
because it's the Champions League and just because it's Madrid.
Mm,
That has to
mm.
do something with mentality.
100%, 100%, 100%. Let me get to a few of the comments quickly. Right. Earlier, at the very top side, if they was mentioning, hey, Sunan, can you DM Steve? How is he holding up after holding that Cryo Hard Out banner in Madrid City Center? It wasn't him. It wasn't him who bought the banner. He did clarify that in the comments. It was some other folks. Obviously, it's Steve who decided the ban in the first place, because he mentioned that in the first leg preview as well. So if the lads ask him for a picture with the banner, I mean, why would you refuse it? I mean, it's just banter. They can do they can do whatever they like. I'll be very honest, but with the Premier League and how they kind of view these things, I mean, I wasn't surprised at the banner. You just have to take it in the spirit. We did the talking on the pitch, and that's what at the end matters. We didn't even have a single tifo. There wasn't even anything remotely,
Political.
not political. Remotely, we're not going to do anything
Symbols.
political. I mean, remotely adequate for
Symbols,
the
yeah.
for the occasion.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. There was nothing there. I was very surprised, and then I realized, I mentioned it in the group chat as well. We don't consider this a big game. That is a bad look for Guardiola. It's it's bad PR for City and Guardiola. I'll be very honest. Ashik was mentioning very positive performance, managed the game well after the game was dusted. Man City didn't even own up to it and threw their fans under the bus, saying fans did it and not the club. Pathetic. I think the fans did it, but the club did have to approve it. So, it's, I think, 50-50. Ashik was mentioning much improved defensive performance from the team. Fede over Lucas at right back, even if God himself suggests otherwise. Front four click in midfield is playing well as well. Rude and Asensio combo works. Right. Talking about the defense, we were kind of talking about the Mbappe hat trick, right? The third hat trick goal, and Fede was the guy who assisted it. But even without the assist, man, Fede Valverde playing out of position, not being right back, is probably top 2, top 3 right backs in Europe. I mean, this is not me even buying into the hype, buying into the aftermath of such a big win. It's just pure facts. If you watch him, his positioning, right, his reading of the game, how he basically facilitates the team to escape pressure, 1. Second, to finish off moves, 2. 3, on set pieces, to be the guy on the edge of the box to unleash his cannon of a right foot. I mean, what else can you ask of this guy? I mean, there is literally no adjectives. Like, I know we say Jude Bellingham is, the most valuable or the most crucial player. We say Vinicius is the most crucial player. We say Thibaut is the most crucial player. Without Fede Valverde, I have to stress at it again. Without Fede Valverde, where would we be this season? I mean, I shudder to think this guy is the walk-in benchmark, the live-in benchmark of how a Real Madrid player should carry himself, should pace himself during games, how he should basically lead the team when it's having a bit of a lull. It's just, he wears the armband for a reason. Just absolutely, man, like 9 on 10, bro. Fede Valverde. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that he's with us. When he broke through, I just thought he was very one-dimensional. Like, even a couple of years back, I was here on the pod mentioning that Fede Valverde has to really up his game in terms of his passing, because I thought he could do a lot better compared to what he was putting up. But now, 2 years on, now when I look at the type of plays that he orchestrates, it's man. He has really evolved into probably the best midfielder in the world. Who can contest it? I mean, Jude Bellingham with his statistics can, but does he have Fede's all-round game? I don't think so.
All-round impact. That's what we're looking for. That's the one word that can describe how complete his influence on the game is, right? Because this guy, not only is he wearing the captain's armband, Like he's only recently started taking the captain's armband, but he's
Yeah.
been a true leader and a true warrior from the very moment he stepped foot on the pitch.
Mm.
Right,
Mm.
because Zidane, even before that, Solari introduced him into the team,
Yeah.
and the season after that, he played that one game at right back. I think it was Liverpool away.
Wing back. Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially a right wing back. Yeah. Mm.
goalless draw, and that was the first time he was really asked, to play out of position, and I
Mm.
think that was the first showing of how versatile this player is. And from then on, he's only grown. Like you mentioned,
Mm.
there were
Mm.
some aspects of his game that needed improving on, and he's
Mm.
constantly gone and done that. A couple of seasons ago, people said he wasn't getting enough goals for how good of a strike he has in him, and then he went and
Yeah.
had that season where he scored all those goals. Right?
100%.
We questioned his passing. Took on Tony
Mm.
Cruz's number 8. Now
Yeah.
he's passing maestro. So you can call him the best right back in the world, sure, but he's not a player that's going to stop progressing as a
Mm.
means of being the best right back in the world, or the best midfielder in the world, or the most
Mm.
impactful player in the world. He's just everywhere, at the center of everything, regardless of where you put him on the pitch, right? Because he's just that sort of player where he's a pure footballer, right? He's not a positional rig. Like I mentioned, you put him anywhere on the pitch and he excels.
Mm.
That's what he is.
How many players in the top five leagues can really really back that up,
Very few.
right? Nobody can talk to Fede. I don't think anybody can talk to Fede. The amount of versatility that this man has in his game,
And
I mean, I don't think
see,
anybody can. So, mm.
Rio Ferdinand on commentary was comparing to
Mm.
Steven Gerrard, but I don't
Mm.
think even Steven Gerrard was this versatile. But yeah,
I don't think Fede is as good as Steven Gerrard. I'll be honest. I
he's
haven't
just
watched him at
the
his
kind of
prime.
player, just the kind of
Mm.
player
Mm.
he is, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I don't think Steven Gerrard, with all the quality that he possesses, would excel at right back that he did. I'm pretty sure he has played wing back for Liverpool at one point or another in his career, and that too in a couple of big games.
yeah.
I'm just trying to piece together hearsay over the years following the game. But yeah, I wasn't around for his prime. But yeah, Fede Valverde, I'm telling you, man, this guy. He holds the team together. He just is the glue. Is the glue. Um, but yeah, few more of the comments. Marcus, a big up Marcus Galactico, who was mentioning, thank God Mbappe is on top form since Jan. We must keep the performance on this performance on every game in the Champions League till the final and forget about the corrupt La Liga. Right, Champions League, man. I'll be very honest. Do you agree with my statement that, or do you feel you do share the sentiment that I was mentioning in the group chat? After the first goal, all I could think about was the amount of away legs that we will have to face, second if we go through, and that is the likes of Leverkusen in Germany, where we really don't have that stellar of a record. It is always hostile away in Germany for us.
So is every team,
Atleti,
actually.
yeah,
Away is our kryptonite.
Liverpool, Anfield, second leg, man.
Not a
I'm
good
not.
one.
I'm not. I'm not ready for that.
And
I'll be very
we're ready
honest.
this season also.
Mm, yeah,
We
yeah.
know what it's like. We know how intimidating that can be when you're not
Mm,
at your best.
mm,
Even a team of our standards can crumble under the Liverpool crowd.
yeah.
Um,
People are gonna overrate this performance out of the fucking. I'm telling you,
and
side.
that was
It's
the
gonna
first thing
be.
I mentioned. That was the first thing
Yeah,
I mentioned to him.
yeah.
It is going to be a bit blown out of proportion, but let's try and not do that ourselves.
I mean, the commentators are already. Oh, who would really doubt Madrid to not add to their trophy
Yes.
collection in Munich in May and blah blah blah.
And
What is Spanish for 16? If you don't know, it's decimo sexta. So
yeah,
it's coming. It's coming. Hopefully,
no,
Dedos Cruzado
trust me,
this year.
a nice
Mm.
1-0 loss against Girona will balance that out. We'll bring all the fans back to ground zero.
Sahel, you have just
No, I
you
am
have just
not
jinxed the
manifesting
fuck
it.
out
I'm
of what
just
we have to do on
yeah,
Sunday, man. Come on, Sahel.
I'm not manifesting it, but I'm just saying
Mm,
that's the only thing
mm,
that will bring these people back to earth. Because the
mm,
reality is The Champions League isn't won. We've just gone through a playoff. One,
Yeah.
two La
Round
Liga.
of 32.
Yeah, two La Liga is slipping out of hand, and we've
Mm,
got tough
mm,
games coming up, right? And we've also got
mm.
a Copa del Rey semi-final.
Yeah.
So let's just calm the fuck down and focus on what's ahead because we've only beaten Man City, and this is not the Champions League semi-final. This is the round of
Mm,
32, like you mentioned, and this is not
mm.
Man City at their best.
Yeah.
It's not even anywhere remotely close to their best. I know we've seen
Mm,
both extremes of this conversation this season because
mm,
we've played a Barcelona team when they were at their very best and we lost to them.
mm,
We
mm.
played a Liverpool when and Liverpool, to be fair, are still going pretty strong, but Liverpool at that time were again pretty clinical.
And
And
we were kind of, on the low. So,
yeah, we were, and but
mm,
every time
mm.
we've felt kind of good about our performances this season, it all comes down, it brews down into context and
Vasquez, Vasquez, if he is back to start big games, I have nothing against the man. He is Madridismo personified,
yeah.
right? He should be starting games to give rest to Fede at right back in big games. Come on, man. This is a no brainer. Carlo, please,
Fede
please. I
hasn't.
mean,
He's been involved in all games this season, right?
Fede has been involved in every game, but
Right.
I'm mentioning about him at right back. Until
Yeah.
Carvajal is back to his full fitness, it should be Fede. It's
And
like there shouldn't be even a question.
I think if he's sensible enough to see that Mendy needs to be rested in La Liga, then he has to rest Valverde. I mean, obviously Valverde is a much more omnipresent figure when it comes to our play on the pitch. Uh, but
Not about resting. I'm mentioning about him starting the big games like he did tonight.
oh yeah, obviously.
Atleti second leg in the Champions League round of 16. It has to be Fede.
He's
It
seen
has
the
to be
light with
Fede.
Raul Asensio. If he's seen the light with Raul Asensio, surely he sees the light with
I'm
Mendy.
still not sure. I'm his biggest fanboy. I'm
Really?
his. I'm the biggest Carlos stan right now. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past him to bring Vasquez back into right back, claiming, "Oh yeah, we need Fede in midfield." We have seen that before.
But
I just hope he like you said has learned his lesson.
well,
But
that's the
yeah,
thing.
Ashik was mentioning.
It's not
Go on.
opposition teams that we're afraid of. It's Carlos'
Mm,
weird big game antics this season, which luckily
I know. I know.
helped us tonight.
Mm.
But it's been
Carlo
nowhere near.
always has a couple of odd games every season. If you
Yeah,
remember the
he
Classico
just
where
deploys
he
this
played.
weird tactic, something we
Mm,
haven't really tried before, and it
mm,
suddenly comes out in a Classico or in a big game in the Champions League, and then we're
yeah.
all over the place in the first 30 minutes, and then it's got to change all over again, back to the drawing
Mm,
board. So that's the
mm.
kind of things we don't like to see out of consistency, out of
In the Champions League, though, like you said, I kind of think, yeah, maybe he might, not play it, that risky. I'm just hoping I'm playing at this point. But yeah, a few more of the comments. I think we have a couple more pointers to kind of talk about
so
before we slowly start to wind this down. Ashik was mentioning, did we play a match at the Bernabeu or were we at the Valdebebas doing some scrimmage? Yeah, it was so smooth. Big up Jagog here. He was mentioning Madrid did what City did to them when they beat them 4-0. I'm telling you, the excuses are going to be in full flight. It's going to be in 4K HDR that City weren't at their best, whereas Madrid were, in their so-called best, being reigning champions in 2022. And they were missing Haaland, and they had 4-0 losses 4 times already before facing Madrid at the Bernabeu, and all that. It's. I mean, be ready for it. I mean, there is a tremendous amount of truth to it, but we all know, man, a game in the Champions League, it's not easy to predict.
yeah,
Right.
and it's a
Ashik was
cliche,
National
Sinead.
Cities.
It's a
Go
cliche,
on.
Sinead. When Real Madrid put up this kind of performance in the Champions League, it often
Yeah.
tends to get
Mm.
massively overrated by the Madrid fans, but also very, very, underplayed by everybody who's
Underplayed.
not a Madrid fan.
Helped by the
I
ref,
remember when we beat Liverpool
individual
5-2.
brilliance,
Yeah.
you know.
When we beat Liverpool 5-2, it was the same case. We were all
Mm.
blowing it out of proportion, but everybody who's not a
But
Madrid
Liverpool,
fan,
Premier League fans are like, oh, Liverpool is shit. I mean,
yeah, at the time, yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't really pay much heed to all that.
Absolutely.
Ashik was also Ashik was also mentioning City's transition season. They get embarrassed, and Real's transition, they went on and won their 14th Champions League title. There is the difference, 100%. There's a difference between Pep and Guardiola as well. For all the novices that are tuning in, that will be tuning in later on, that is the difference between a Carlo and a Pep Guardiola. Guardiola, man, you see what is happening to a guy who spent 180 million, 150 million in the winter transfer window just 3 weeks ago. This is reality. This is reality, boys. This is the big boy stuff. What we did. Right. Big up. Mosi was mentioning Ramos. Ashik was mentioning anyone noticed the difference between Tchouameni in centre back and Tchouameni playing where he belongs as DM? Completely different personality. That's one of the big talking points that we have left to cover. Tchouameni, man, from kickoff, it's almost like he didn't rate City's midfield tonight. The midfield of Nico Gonzalez, Gundogan, and who was it? Was it Foden? I can't remember. Bernardo Silva. Yeah. It was almost like he sat down to play a game of FIFA on amateur. It was the level of confidence, the way he was moving, and the passes he was orchestrating, and also some of the tackles that he was winning. Tracking players all the way back, going the other way, sliding from behind. I mean, if it doesn't come off, it's a straight red, or at the very least, you're getting a yellow, and it's a dangerous free kick to give away. He is just, whatever Tchouameni I think touched tonight was turned into gold immediately. I think he looks. I think he looks like he has regained his confidence. He looks like a completely different player that we saw maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So.
Yeah, I don't doubt that part. Undoubtedly, it's a matter of his confidence having come back, right? He's playing in the right environment again. He doesn't feel like he's forcing anything anymore. Like, he's just going with the flow, and he's gaining more and more confidence with every ebb and flow of the game. Like, from the very he's not at it from the very first whistle also. I wouldn't say that. But he definitely goes into each game, and he seems to understand the opposition's attacking patterns, where the vertical passes come through from, where he's got to beat or intercept a certain ball. He isn't the most proactive player still on the pitch, and I wouldn't entirely rate or judge him or his resilience off of this performance, because it was against a City side who were very clumsy in possession, and it was
even last week's side, if you remember, at centre back he looked decent, I'll be very honest.
But again, wasn't really tested, is all I say. So I really want to see him put up one of these performances in one of the bigger games where the opposition is really at it. Say we play Atleti, right? Or Sociedad in the semi. I think that's going to be, with all respect to City, that's going to be a lot more tougher of a challenge.
A lot more cagier, a lot more fury,
Yeah, it's going to be a tight tactical battle, So that sort of game, I think, is where I would judge Tchouameni. I think it was questionable moving him back to midfield up to a certain point, but obviously that was, in hindsight, that was the right thing to do, because he's most comfortable over there, and that is, at the end of the day, his natural position. No matter how well he's fit in defense, every now and then we do come up with the comments, he's much more better in defense than he is in midfield. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. He's still a brilliant midfielder who just needs to gain some confidence like he is right now. And with continuity, I think his class will come back to him. And like we're, now we're coming used to Ceballos' name being chanted around the Bernabeu. I think Tchouameni will soon be there as well if he continues with the same, with the same flow.
It'll be nice especially after he got booed and whatnot against Celta. Was it Celta? If I remember, but I'm gonna read out the Ancelotti quote at the presser. Okay, he mentioned he likes Fede at right back, but this was an emergency situation. Lucas Vazquez will be back. Fede can be an option. Vazquez has had great games. Praise Almighty Jesus, Allah, anyone you want to call. But yeah, I hope Carlo has a nightmare, you know, while he's asleep. Lucas Vasquez probably given away, a couple of huge goals that eventually lead to him. I'm not gonna jinx my fucking side, but yeah, man, Carlo has to wake up and smell the coffee, please. I hope this is
Exactly,
PR.
exactly. Look what
Mm,
it's making you do. I mean,
mm.
obviously, you can't morally get yourself to wish Lucas gets injured again. You can't get yourself to say that, even if you do wish it.
Sahil,
But
I wouldn't suggest, I wouldn't entertain any of that. But
no, exactly. But
no, I'm kind of
you don't want Lucas
understanding
to
where you're
say
coming
it,
from.
just
Yeah.
say it out loud, man.
Mm, mm, I wouldn't even think about any of that. Lucas Vasquez is my guy. I mean, I love him to bits. I love him to bits, man. Honestly, he has given me so much joy. He is someone that I can never really hate. But yeah, him being thrown under the bus against a big, team in a
Just not doing
crucial
anything
telling
differently.
time. Mm, yeah. Right. Quickly, a few more of the comments. We discussed Tchouameni already.
Right.
Um, Ashik was mentioning Man City must hate Rodrigo. The kid wakes up against City. His nickname should be CK City Killer. Um, yeah, 100%. 100%. Ashik was mentioning if we face Atleti, at least we'll not be dealing with the dump as Spanish refs. Big up Priyanshu was mentioning Real Madrid didn't show up for the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Manchester City didn't show up for the UCL tie. There's a difference there, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Big up Adil Wahab. He was mentioning we need to talk about Fede, Ceballos, and Rodrigo. They were excellent in controlling the game, getting us out of tight spaces, and intelligent ball progression. Ceballos, I mean, we have spoken about him to great lengths this season already. And although it wasn't one of his most stellar performances, he didn't have to really do much. It was just Danny Ceballos in second gear. He was that good. I mean, on the night to basically, evade the press, spread the possession whenever the game needed it, win fouls when the game needed it. Ceballos is just looking like I was mentioning it in the group chat as well. I think the other week he is just that guy who can't be dropped if you're playing a do or die game. He's just that person in midfield who brings out the balance. There is no better way to put it.
Yeah, and you're right about saying that he didn't have his most outstanding performance. But
Mm,
again, like you mentioned, he didn't have to because
yeah,
we see him not as a qualitative replacement for Tony Kroos, but certainly as a
yeah.
like-for-like replacement for Tony Kroos in this team.
Mm,
In this
mm,
setup, what he brings is balance. A player who can just keep the game ticking, keep possession,
mm,
keep recirculating the ball. And that's what he brings to the table more than anything because we know that Ceballos hasn't always been this kind of player. He started out as an attacking midfielder, transitioned into sort of a left CM at Arsenal and at Betis. And then he's only brought out these qualities in him when he sort of saw the opening in this team, saw the sort of
yeah.
void that was left after Cruz left. So that's just
Mm,
a testament to his, versatility because he was not always this proficient at, at what he does now for this team, what he brings now to this team. And it's only being emphasized more and more because we are lacking exactly that sort of a player, right? Even if the same Ceballos showed up when Tony Cruz was still playing, we wouldn't appreciate him
yeah.
as much. That's the thing. That's the bitter truth. We would sideline this player as somebody who didn't bring anything extra, right? Who was just
Mm,
a midfielder who could play short passes. But now you talk about his passing range. You talk about how smart he is in possession, and he knows what passes to play, and he knows when to slow the game down. I think that is a big attribute in games like these,
yeah.
when our midfielders got to know when to push, but also got to know when to put the brake pedals on.
Mm,
So I think that is a big testament to his character and how much he's grown this season. Obviously now, like you mentioned, he is an undisputed starter. Like you cannot bring this You cannot emphasize this enough. Uh, Going into even playing Atleti or Bayer Leverkusen, I think the balance
Yeah.
he brings to the team sheet is undeniable. So I would not even consider taking him out of the team.
Mm. It's funny, right? It's so funny how football works, and how a couple of injuries here and there basically gives new leases of life to so many of the players that we disregard as surplus to requirements, disregard as probably not good enough because
Exactly. That's what we said last season.
yeah, I mean, Ceballos was the guy who used to step in to rest the likes of Luka Modric, to rest the likes of Toni Kroos.
Right.
Now he's being rested. I mean, it's funny. Like I see La Liga games where Ceballos was rested at the weekend. I mean, it's incredible how the turnaround has been for this guy, and yeah, I'm super happy. I'm super
The
happy again
Bernabeu,
that I've been proved wrong. Hmm?
the Bernabeu was chanting his name.
Yeah, and not just once. It's almost like a weekly thing now.
Truly.
So yeah, super happy, super happy. Also, Jude Bellingham apparently is going to miss the next game.
Oh
It was a
yes, yellow
pretty
card.
dumb foul to give away, pretty dumb yellow card to pick up, and yeah, first leg at home where we need to rack up, some sort of a deficit. Um, it's not ideal, is it, Jude Bellingham? But yeah, what can we do? Also, this stat is interesting. Mbappe is 10 goals away from becoming the Madrid player with the most goals in the debut season. Evan Zamorano, brilliant player, late 90s, early 90s, sorry, is leading with 37 goals. Right. So 10 goals, I don't think it's far fetched. It's only February.
Very doable for Mbappe and the
Very
kind of
doable.
form he is in right now.
Yeah.
It just feels like everything he touches turns to gold.
Mm,
So as long as the team is there and creating for him,
yeah.
I don't think his decisiveness is going to fade away anytime soon.
100%. 100%.
Number nines, that's the thing. He is. You can
Yeah.
speak of him as a number nine now, because essentially he is one in this team. Once they get
Mm,
into that flow and once they get amongst the goals every game for a few games in a row, and this guy surely has gone what 7-8 games in a row.
mm, mm,
I think continuity adds up a lot more for number nines. That compounding factor than it does for other players.
mm. Mbappe is completely drunk with with the feeling that he has been going through tonight. He apparently mentioned playing for Madrid is better than winning the Ballon d'Or. I mean, it's a bit cheesy. Obviously you're not going to say anything else when you're put on the
Yeah,
spot. But yeah, he's I think basically just taking in all the plaudits, man. It's nice to see. Nice to see. He's also mentioning the fans chanting his name is a dream. Um, but yeah, Adil Wahab, pick up. Adil, he was mentioning the way Ceballos connects the defense and the midfield and attack. Is he as undroppable as Fede, Rudiger, and Mbappe? I mean, in big games, he is.
he is.
He for sure is. You know, he has the tenacity that I think Luka Modric. I mean, Luka Modric. It's funny. Luka Modric sometimes when he starts games, he really brings his youthful side of his pressing to the forefront, and I really have to rub my eyes and check his DOB. I'll be very honest, but then I do think Ceballos, because of his age and whatnot, is gonna get that role, even if Luka Modric is playing out of his skin. That just is the way Carlo deals with it. But Ceballos obviously has a good edge this season in terms of performances over Luka. At least when he started. Right. Ashik, big up Ashik was mentioning after Marmoush's hat trick and Barca fans kept talking. Some called him Egyptian royalty. Well, he got mummified by Fede today. Newcastle ain't Madrid. Yeah, brilliant player, Marmoush. There is a bit of a ways to go before he is at his best in the city colors. But yeah, his job was a bit too far fetched. I'll be very honest.
Yeah.
But
And the
yeah.
same goes for Nico
Mm,
Gonzalez, Husano,
mm,
Savinho, all brilliant players we've seen
mm,
how good they can be, but putting them out for slaughter
Mm.
against a Madrid side that's going to kill you if given the chance. Uh,
Yeah,
it was a bit
yeah.
of a suicide move on Pep's part. I don't think Ancelotti would have pulled anything of that sort.
Eka Gonzalez was the only way they could have gotten some control because there is nobody else who can kind of
Yeah,
play
that is also
sort
true.
of a CDM pseudo setting role. It had to be Nico Gonzalez, and he was bought in precisely for that. So yeah, it is what it is. Pep Guardiola had to hold that like he has done on 80%, 90% of the times that he has faced Madrid post Barcelona. I am a man that is yeah, satisfied mentally, physically. I mean, I'm maybe going over the line, but this man has tormented my entire teens. It just was a hard watch, him bossing our side, week in, week out, Champions League semi-finals at home and away. This is a welcome relief. I'll be very honest, to put him to bed at least, for the remainder of the season and not think about City again. But yeah, they'll be back next year. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt about it. Whether it takes reinforcements, whether it takes more money, City are going to be back. There is absolutely no end to this rivalry, at least in the modern era. It's going to keep it's going to keep going on for the rest of the decade. I'm pretty sure at the very minimum. Right. Final thoughts, Sahil.
Yeah, I'd just like to compliment what you said pretty much. Watching my team basically tear apart Pep Guardiola's defense,
Mm.
take him to shreds, force him to go to his water bottle thrice over the course of the season.
You actually
Was
did keep count, yes, Sahil. You are a very sadistic individual.
yeah, it's just
I'll
visual. Just I don't know how many times he actually went to it, but he goes to it every time his team concedes. And
I'll have to
that
speak with
goes
the HR and get you to some therapy, man. I think we can afford some sort of an insurance
yeah,
for
I think
that.
I might be due for that. But Cameron
Pep
just seems
Pep
to
is gonna
pan to
really
Cameron
be
just seems
feeling
to pan to Pep every
attacked.
time. Exactly, and he should feel attacked actually because you can't
Right.
excuse that because when we lost to them 2 seasons ago, we sort of were in a sort of transition season ourselves, and we know what that's like when your team isn't quite prepared
People are not gonna take that. What transition we had? Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinny.
no. When a couple
Hmm.
seasons ago, when we lost 4-0
I
to
mean,
them,
not Mbappe, Rodrigo, Benzema, Rodrigo, Vinny.
right? That is true. But
Casemiro
also
wasn't there. I mean, it was Tchouameni.
true that. So from a City fan's perspective, and I'm sure
Hmm.
Steve will echo more of this sentiment, that
Hmm.
they were truly not at their best, and I think they will feel that in the end they've just got to fight for the league, and for us it just makes things a little bit easier for now, but also in the long run it complicates the amount of fixtures we've got and how much we've got coming up. But the Champions League, you will never take away from a performance like this. It is undoubtedly a statement performance and
Hmm.
one that we can learn a lot from about ourselves actually, about how about what conditions this team can best operate in. I think this
Hmm.
is up there with one of our best performances this season, regardless of how terrible City were. So yeah, that's about it, and we'll see you for the preview for Girona.
Girona preview. Yeah, we have to again do the job at home this weekend. Level on points. I mean, Barca on on top because of the head-to-head. That's how teams are separated in La Liga, unlike GD elsewhere. We have to be on it, man. City weren't at the races, but we have at least three more races to see out before May. It's crazy. It's crazy. Um, Also, the round of 16 will be before the international break as well. So it's non-stop, man. It's until March the 16th or something. We are playing games every three days. It's going to be crazy. I hope you guys strap your belts on and be ready for the ride. I hope our team and Carlo can pull us out unscathed. But yeah, big up people in the chat. Big up people who are gonna be tuning in later on as well. Big up people who are gonna be uh, yeah, who basically show some love to our content with Steve as well. Big up Steve as always for showing us the warmth that he has over the years, and taking time out of his day, taking time out of his mini vacay in Madrid to speak to us and whatnot. It's dealing with City fans. It's always a pleasure. There's always a couple of mugs in there, but yeah, Steve, Martin, and the likes. It's super nice, super nice. They're considered family at this point. So big up them and commiserations. It just had to be one of us to go out in the round of 32 in the playoffs. It sucks, but I'm pretty sure this tie is gonna be right around the corner. Come next Feb, Jan, March. I hope it's later in the competition. Yeah, earlier it just is too brutal. I'll be very honest. Yeah, man, big up our sponsors. LB at 20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Big up Fanatics. Go check them out. Link is in the description below. Probably the biggest sports apparel collection online. Also, show some love to Talksport as well. A friendly reminder, Farouk will be on the Talksport Fan Network's Settle the Score segment with one of these City fans to actually break down the game tomorrow. I think it's recorded, so I'm not sure when it'll be out, but keep your eyes peeled on our socials so that you can see Farouk's take on what went down on Talksport's Settle the Score segment. Right. Until next time, people. Ala Madrid.
Hello, Madrid, guys.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you that if you want to help and support this project of ours, this channel, you can do so by going to manscaped.com, using our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. You help us out and you get a cool product. This time I'm here to introduce you guys to the Chairman Pro. It is a trimmer that features two interchangeable blade heads, one called the blade foil, which is to get that super smooth baby skin, and the other one is called the stubble trimmer, for if you want to still have that little bit of stubble but look a bit cleaner and fresher. You can do both with the same trimmer. It also features flex adjust technology. It adjusts it to your face, how you shave. You can also lock it for a full precision. The thing is waterproof. You can shave yourself in the shower if you want to. It's completely waterproof. It features 75 hours of battery life, so if you're going on some kind of travel, you can charge it beforehand and it will still have enough battery for the trip. Also, if you're going on a trip, you can lock it so that it doesn't turn on as you go. It has an LED. It's a great thing, and especially now that Christmas is coming up, if you want to send it as a gift to your boyfriend, or if you're a man, get it for yourself or your brother or dad. It's a great gift for any man, and this bad boy can even get up to like 5 days of beard, so you don't even need to trim it down before you can fully shave it. This does it for you. So yeah, get this at manscaped.com. Use our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. Thank you for watching, and back to the video.